Change your conversation to change your life.
Is that really possible? That's what we're going to be discussing
In
today.
Get Real with the English Sisters. Welcome, everyone.
Welcome.
Please take a moment to leave a review on Apple Podcasts, because apparently that's the one that really counts, or wherever you get your podcasts, and on Spotify too. Thank you so much for your support.
Yeah, thank you so much. And please do continue to share with your family and friends and continue to support us, and we will be making many more episodes.
We do plan to.
So hopefully, if it all goes well, we'll continue.
It's lovely. It's lovely to be part of this community, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Anyway, change your conversation. They do say never talk about politics or religion, don't they?
Yes, they do, but I just think that's because it's like
controversial.
No, I don't know. No, I wouldn't say it's controversial, but however, I'd probably say you may be more likely to offend somebody if you want to be more, diplomatic in a social environment. So you might want to avoid speaking about certain topics.
Yes, because people have different views, don't they?
Yes.
And they have different political, religious, and other views, don't they? So finance, I think they say as well. Don't talk about money.
Finance, for example, in the UK and I know in America that it's a bit of a taboo, but in many other Oriental, Asia, they talk a lot about money and specifically about how much each other earns. So I think that just depends on cultural.
Culture.
Yeah, that's a cultural thing.
But I think we were thinking more about the conversations that you have every day, like with your loved ones or at work.
Absolutely. Definitely we're going more for those
conversations.
Kind of conversations.
Or the conversations that you don't have.
Exactly. Yeah, what you don't say can be just as important as what you do actually say.
Because sometimes what you don't say but what you're thinking
are two different things. Yeah, and that can be a big issue actually. By not saying certain things, you could be repressing your emotions, keeping them in, and that can cause friction, even at a level that you might not even be aware of. But you're constantly saying things in your head about that person.
Yeah, but you're not actually verbalizing.
You're not verbalizing it. But
you're not having a conversation around it. So like if something gets really on your nerves or bothers you, but you're just keeping it in, and you might explode one day.
Yes, exactly. Well, that's typically what happens. Yeah. You will explode. Or
sometimes you just keep all your feelings in as well. You might keep, even if you're in a long-term relationship, there might be certain things that you're expecting from that relationship, but you're
not saying them.
You're not saying them.
No.
Maybe you're a bit scared to say them, or you're scared of what the other person will think.
And you're constantly feeling disappointed.
Yes.
And because your expectations are not being met. But the other person might not know what these expectations are. They might not know that you expect.
Got a clue, probably.
They haven't got a clue, exactly. That's really common in many relationships. I think when we decided to make this podcast, though, about change your conversation. Yeah, I know. I guess it was. Yeah, it was developed. The idea was around relationships as well. Yeah, very much so, I guess.
I think you can't avoid it, can you? Because relationships are part of life. Usually.
They are. Any kind of relationship, yeah, it's very important. I was thinking of when sometimes we moan a lot. And I think a lot of people do. Especially in the past, we used to moan more. And by moan, I mean it's that you tend to... It's also lovely because you're venting, and you're expressing, oh, this happened and blah blah blah. But then in the end, it can tend to be, it's good up until a certain point. Then I remember once we kind of had that realization when we were around.
That's too much.
Yeah, 10, 15 years ago or something, when we thought, is this maybe just too much? Yeah. Let's discuss this for let's vent and have a little rant about all the stuff that we don't like and that. But then let's stop it. and let's make our conversations more productive. And then I remember thinking, gosh, I actually feel a lot better when I do this, because I can still...
It doesn't take over your whole day, does it?
Yeah, I can still express and have a little moan, which is also human, and say, oh, yesterday I did that, and oh, it went wrong, whatever. I don't even remember now, but have a moan about something. But then it's not just constant moaning. And unfortunately, I think that can happen a lot with people. You can get together with certain groups.
Of course you can. And you can just be like moaning.
Moaning. I have no other word for it. Complaining.
There's worse words.
Is there? Yeah, okay.
But we
exactly.
won't use them.
Yeah.
And you can be just doing that all the time about people.
It's either like gossiping and complaining about other people, or complaining about your own life,
or your
complaining about your partner. Very common, especially in marriages. Oh, this and this. And so how much of this is actually useful to you?
None of it really. About 10 minutes.
Maybe 10 minutes, yeah, saying, oh, yeah, that happens to me too. Or, oh, don't worry, that's happened to me. You know, when you can get some empathy of somebody, somebody that cares for you, say, oh, no, don't worry, never mind, that went wrong. Oh, you had a bad day at work, blah, blah. But then give it a time. And I remember thinking...
I think if you're processing information and it's different. But if you just tend to go down that road... And you go so down common. That every time, and you tend to, go down that rabbit hole where you're actually talking about that same kind of thing every time.
It's always the same thing.
It does become like a broken record.
It's of no use to you.
It's like you can't turn it off. It's a bit like saying no to those negative thoughts that keep coming up in your mind. If you let negative thoughts keep taking over, in the end you just get over anxious.
You do.
Whereas if you say, no, I recognise this is a negative thought, I'm not having it, stop, go away, let it pass, sort of. I've heard you.
I've heard you. Now. I accept you. I know what you're trying to do. You're probably trying to protect me in some way, because that's fine. I can accept, you mind, you brain, you are trying to protect me somehow by continuously telling me and repeating this thought. But ultimately, I think the question you have to ask yourself, is this thought helpful?
Yeah, and is this conversation helpful to me?
Exactly the same way.
Is this conversation helping me feel better about my day, or about today, or about my life? Or is it actually hindering my progress?
How does it make you feel when you leave that conversation? Do you feel like, say relief? Do you feel content? Do you feel calm? Or do you feel like you've got a knotted stomach and you feel nervous? What's going on there?
Yeah, or a headache or something.
Yeah,
then might manifest in a different way, backache, headache.
Exactly. So something it's not being helpful to you. So I think if you're aware of this, you can really start changing your conversations from today.
Is that we have them all the time, don't we? They're part of our everyday, most of us. Even if they might be virtual conversations, they might be online, but they're still conversations. Most of us do tend to converse with people and interact with people. So even if you're I'm just thinking, even if it's self-talk, if you're not conversing
that's
with anyone
a conversation
else,
with yourself.
It's
definitely.
a conversation with yourself, so it should be taken into consideration. What are you saying to yourself?
Absolutely.
Once again,
that's a massive, big deal.
Yeah, is it a helpful conversation that you're saying to yourself? Because if you change that conversation and you reverse it or change it for the better, it will change your life. It just cannot not do that.
It cannot not do it. It will do it. It will change your life. And it's as simple as becoming aware of it, becoming aware of the conversations you have with other people, even the kind of small talk, as it's called, like
moaning about the weather.
Yeah, in the UK a lot of the time it's moaning literally about, I can't stand this weather, it's so bad, blah blah blah, and even that can get you down. That can actually get you down.
It might actually have been a nice day the day before.
Yes, but you're not thinking about that. No. You're just thinking about the weather today. I mean, that's not so
You get like locked in the.
you
in
get
the-
locked into the small talk of it all, or you're moaning about something,
about someone.
the world, the government, there's something that you focus your attention on, and your attention is precious. It is so precious. If you focus your attention on something that's going to make you feel good, you will feel good. And if you focus your thoughts on something that you like, something that's pleasant for you, you'll feel amazing.
You will.
And but it's so obvious that it's
Not obvious.
exactly, yeah, you're right. It's so obvious. You think, why wouldn't we just all do that? Why wouldn't we just all go around focusing on what we
Because
love
they
from the
think-
moment we wake up?
People
And
think that then you're acting a bit like a robot or something.
yeah, like you're not a real person.
You're not a real person.
Yeah,
But I mean,
'cause
don't we
real
act like
peop-
that all the time? We keep things back. We don't say things. We don't express how we really feel. So that could be, that could be.
We
the
do it for
counter-argument.
the kind of like for the negative. Yeah.
But we won't do it for the positive.
We won't become aware of the things that actually make us feel good. Why are we always focusing on what's not right in the moment? Why do we always tend to do that? It's self-protection once again. But I think if once we're aware that, okay, I'm aware of this, I've acknowledged that your brain, like, because when you do worry about something, there's a
Thank
purpose
you.
to worrying. Yes. It's to warn you, to advise you, your brain is saying, hey, that's a tricky situation there. So, okay, yes, you can like what you said.
You can say thank you to that thought, but
Yes, but I've had it now.
Yeah,
That's okay. I will be proactive. I'll do whatever I can to avoid being late for the reunion or whatever you've got. But then there's nothing else you can do about it. So let's think about something else
yes.
that's going to make you feel a lot better. It's easier said than done, though, isn't
No,
it?
it is, but you can use little tricks like put your favourite song on or do something different.
To break the
Go
state.
for a walk.
Yes.
Walk. Go for a walk. I was going to say.
Go
to work or go for a walk.
Yeah, you break your state. You break the...
You break the pattern. And to change your conversation, to read about something different, something that inspires you, and say, I'm going to talk about that. If you find that you're always squabbling, say at the dinner table, when you go out with your friends or relatives at the Christmas table, at family festivities, avoid those conversations like the plague, I say.
Absolutely, I say that.
Don't go there.
It's not worth it.
Don't go there.
Especially if they're just random family
Sometimes
occasions.
there will be one person that really wants you to bite.
Yes.
Because they kind of get like a bit of a high of all this high energy of all the discussions
All
and
the
everything.
little tips.
And for some people it might be okay and they might not get worked up about it. But if you're the kind of person that was going to get worked up about it and then not like, how the evening or the occasion went afterwards or feel upset, just don't go there. Don't go there.
No, don't go there. Avoid it. It's what we
Especially
say.
if it's something that, is not really someone that close to you that you have to... But even if it is someone that close to you.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, my husband and I, we don't always agree politically. So now we've decided just not to go there. Just don't discuss it because it just gets me worked. He doesn't care. He'll have a massive conversation about it, but it gets me worked up. So I just said, I'm not going to talk about that with you.
We all have our differences.
Yes.
That's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, I've accepted.
I respect your opinion. You respect mine. Okay, that's it then.
Okay.
That's it. We don't have to talk about it because in the end it always ends up with me getting upset and I get worked up about it and I don't like it. So I think, why do I have to ruin my relationship over this? Because I think in the end it does start ruining your relationship because they're not even really things that affect you really directly. No. So they're indirect. It's not like something that's really completely affecting you directly. And there's no point in it. It just I think it just builds a wall between you in the end. Especially if you have someone a bit like my husband that's quite polar. And so he will tend to go on the opposite. He'll play like the strawman's he'll try and, see what the counter argument will be. So in the end,
So if you say white, he'll say black.
yes.
If you say
So in
black,
the
he'll
end,
say
it
white.
just
Yeah.
I don't find it helpful to me, and so I just decided not to talk about it.
That's it. You've hit it on the nail. It's not helpful to you.
No, and it's also not helpful to our children who are grown ups now and adults, but they've decided to do the same thing because it just doesn't, it's not helpful. It just divides.
Yeah, I guess I kind of do the same thing, really, but without realising it, kind of. Yeah, I mean, politically, I think we're more or less on the same level, but with other things, I
can't be bothered.
I probably can't be bothered, to tell you the truth. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. But I think I know what you're talking about, so I must be doing it as well.
Kind of conversations that, they're not really things that are really going to affect you directly.
No,
so there's no point as far as I'm concerned, because it just gets you worked up and it's not helpful to your day.
It's not helpful. And what about situations like where you've got a colleague at work that tends to be a moaner? And that's always moaning. I remember when I used to fly with Alitalia, and there was one guy, we actually called him, he doesn't even know who he is, so I can say it, Lamens, which means lamentela, which actually means to moan. And we called him this because
nickname.
It was his nickname. I mean, so many people, it wasn't just me, a lot of people in the crew were saying that because he would just constantly moan about everything. We were in these gorgeous locations. Focus on the white sand. Don't focus on the mosquito that might have bitten you a few seconds ago. For goodness sake, there was so much beauty to be seen if you wanted to see it. But he could only see the all the time when we were there. Whenever I flew with him, I would always think, oh, dread. The dread of it. I was actually almost scared of him because of...
it brings everyone down, doesn't it?
And he was just random because I didn't always fly with this person, thank goodness. But obviously, when you work in an environment when you're always going to see someone every day, that's when it can be tricky. Is you're trying to change a conversation.
Well, there, I suppose you can say yes and... You can use that little trick. Yes, and I really noticed that the sound's really special here.
Yeah, well, I was already imagining in an office. So
if you're in an office, yes, and but the coffee's good today.
Yeah,
and they'll probably say no, it's nice.
Yeah, we tried that.
I've enjoyed it, and then just maybe walk away gently.
I think so. I think when it's really like that, when you have somebody that's particularly. But most of the time, you will change your conversations around.
What would happen if you moaned back?
No, then it's just one big moan.
They would.
Then it would just be you're festering in it. It was just very, especially with this person, it was just radically odd, almost, I must say. But anyway, I was just thinking, more normal. Occasions,
you can change your conversation. You can say something bright.
I've done that many times. I remember the other night we went out for dinner, and the restaurateur he came to us, and I think my husband said, "Oh, so I'm glad business is picking up or something," and then he started on this massive moan. So for a point, I was thinking, okay, we're empathetic. Yes, it's been hard. We know, the times of it's been difficult times for everybody, but then it was just on and on about the future generations. There's nothing for them, And there, I remember I managed to change a conversation around and actually
lead it to something.
I led it to something quite positive, and they were both quite. I remember, but the couple, they were both quite inspired. And they turned out to be quite really lovely people, actually. And then we know them more now. So that was in it when I remember actually consciously thinking, oh gosh, I want to change this conversation. How can I do it?
Yeah.
So I think I started speaking about how young people are more resilient than we think they are. And they had to agree with it. You give them some of these truisms that people know kind of are true and they have to say yes to.
Yes.
So, as I feel to say yes. So if somebody's always moaning about something, you can say yes, but have you noticed that the cushion is rather comfortable or something, even something silly like that, and you can actually break the conversation. They'll say, oh yeah, and they're going to start saying yes to the fact that the cushion's comfortable and things like that. So you can, I think I did something like that. It was quite a while ago, but yes.
So what do you find?
Definitely.
Do you find that your conversations are lifting you up or getting you down? If you find that they're
lifting you up,
if you find that they're lifting you up,
that's jolly good. Then you're on the right road.
You're on the right track.
You're definitely on the right track. You're on that beautiful track for very helpful conversations that can really, really help you go far. And you'd be surprised how interesting people actually are.
Yeah, and how supportive people can be as well. If you're not saying something to someone that you want to say to your partner or to your loved ones or whoever it is, and sometimes, when you do open up and you tell them about, whatever it is,
you're sincere.
You're sincere. You will be. You'll
be surprised.
Be surprised how much or maybe how relieved that other person is to say, "Oh, thank goodness you said it," because I was really concerned about that. But
I thought it was me,
but it might just me.
It might not be you. It's just because you're not bringing me a cup of tea when I kind of expected it. It could be something as simple as that, and you might think, "Hey, this person seems rather rude," but they just don't know it.
They don't know it. They don't, or not. People aren't always aware of everything. Well, let us know in the comments, and please do come and see us on YouTube as well, where you can comment and say hi, and you'll see the video there too. It's on the YouTube playlist for podcasts.
Wonderful. So it's been lovely
conversing,
and hopefully, we'll share this conversation with you. Just write in the comments.
Tell us what you
think and how you change conversations and how they're affecting your life.
Bye-bye. Lots of love and smiles from the